there anything that you would say to Ruby if you had the chance?
Probably tell her I'm happy without you. Like, I was scared of her for so long, and I am pure without her approval, and I am just fine.
Have you forgiven Ruby?
Forgiveness is something I've had to study a lot and kind of think about what it means. But for me, forgiveness would look like not letting that consume every moment of my life and all of my thoughts. I am just trying to move on with my life and trust that things are gonna work out the way they're supposed to.
What really happened behind the scenes of Ruby Franke's seemingly perfect family life? It's a story that's been unfolding for years, but now, with her eldest daughter Shari Franke's memoir and interviews, we're finally starting to put the pieces together. Ruby Franke, a once-celebrated family vlogger and mother of 6, made headlines when she was arrested for alleged abuse of her youngest children. But as shocking as those revelations were, Shari's story reveals that the abuse didn't start or end with just those two. The real question is, how deep does this go? Shari's memoir, The House of My Mother, A Daughter's Quest for Freedom, paints a haunting picture of a family torn apart by control, exploitation, and trauma. Shari Franke's memoir opens with a chilling account of her childhood. From as early as 5 or 6 years old, she endured her mother's twisted discipline methods. If Shari's piano practice at 6 a.m. didn't meet Ruby's expectations, she would get slapped, her lips flicked, or her ear painfully tugged. Shari writes, in her twisted logic, she was molding obedience, sculpting compliance with each stinging blow. But really, we were just her punching bags, a way for her to release her anger.
When I was younger, around 5, 6, Ruby was really physical, whether it was a slap to the lip or a slap to the cheek. When I would practice the piano, her hand would slam, and it was really scary. And honestly, when she met Jodi, that kind of stopped.
What's more heartbreaking is the constant surveillance Shari describes. As a preteen, she struggled with growing pains, acne, and self-discovery, all while being forced to smile for the cameras. Her mother directed every moment, from mundane mornings to emotional breakdowns, turning family life into content for their vlog empire. Smile, Shari, say good morning, Ruby would command. Even humiliating moments like the time Ruby insisted on waxing Shari's eyebrows for a video and accidentally removed half of one eyebrow became clickbait.
2 days ago was preschool. Eve slept in. She's notorious for sleeping in. And she woke up and I thought, you know what? I'm not going to wake her up, because every time I wake her up, she gets super grumpy and upset, and I have to literally drag her and get her dressed. And she's old enough to do that herself. And she missed preschool. She slept in and she woke up and she's like, I'm ready to go to preschool. I said, you know what? Preschool's over. You slept through it. I'm sorry. And she's like, what? And I said, you need to get up and get ready if you're going to go to preschool, because I'm not going to drag you out of bed.
That video alone brought in hundreds of thousands of views. Ruby's obsession with content didn't just affect Shari, it set the tone for the entire family. Shari recalled being pushed into starting her own YouTube channel at 14, but behind the scenes, Ruby controlled everything, including the income. Like my mom, I exploited my own siblings, Shari admits in her memoir. Videos about shaving, periods, and other deeply personal topics became part of the family's brand. The guilt eats at me now, Shari writes, but back then, I was just following the blueprint Ruby laid out. This is what makes money.
What would you say is the best part about doing YouTube?
I know instantly what the answer is, and I don't know if it's what you're looking for, but it has made me a better mom. Honestly, because if you have the camera on your face and then at the end of the day you look at the footage, you realize, oh my heck, I totally overreacted. Why did I overreact like that? I'm gonna have to cut all this out, and it's really painful to watch myself. How many times did your mom tell you, you should see yourself? If you could just look at yourself right now. That's literally what it is.
Shari elaborates further on the pressure she faced, explaining that her mother's obsession with numbers and metrics meant every personal moment could be monetized. There was no boundary between our private lives and public personas, Shari reflects. Everything was content. Every moment was a potential video. Even when I was sick or upset, it was seen as an opportunity to generate views. She describes how Ruby's need for control extended into every aspect of their lives, from dictating their interactions with friends to deciding what they could wear or say on camera. Ruby's authority was absolute. It wasn't just about money, it was about power. Shari writes, "My mom wanted to be the director, producer, and star of our lives, with the rest of us as her supporting cast." The impact of this control wasn't just psychological. Shari details how their income from the channel and through their participation in videos was managed entirely by Ruby, leaving the children with no financial autonomy. "We weren't just unpaid, we were unaware of how much we were even making," Shari reveals. "It wasn't until I was older that I realized how much money had passed through our hands, all under my mom's control."
I think that she's as sorry as she can be. What she has done is so bad that I don't think her mind allows her to kind of fully comprehend the guilt of all that. And so I think that she probably genuinely believed everything she said. I don't believe it though.
Things took a dark turn when Jodi Hildebrandt entered the picture. Ruby's co-defendant, a self-proclaimed therapist, brought what Shari describes as terrifying new flavors of sadism to their already abusive household. Shari calls Hildebrandt a cult leader who turned Ruby into a starstruck acolyte. Hildebrandt's influence was immediate and alarming, underpinning what little normalcy the family had left. Shari's father, Kevin, was persuaded to move out on Hildebrandt's advice, isolating the children further and granting Jodi even more control. Ruby's punishments, which had previously been physical, morphed into something far more insidious under Jodi's guidance, a psychological warfare that left deeper scars. Shari describes the eerie, weird vibes that consumed their household after Hildebrandt moved in, turning into a space of fear and secrecy.
Could you feel the shift when Jodi came into your family's life?
I could for sure. I could feel the shift. I was like, oh, Jodi, like, you know, I don't like her, but maybe this is one good thing that's come from it, is she's not yelling, she's not hitting us anymore. But it did become more psychological, and in a way that was more damaging to me.
One of the most unsettling moments Shari recalls is finding Jodi in her bed without explanation. The boundary-breaking presence was compounded by Ruby's effort to conceal their activities. "I thought maybe Jodi's presence would stop the yelling and hitting," Shari admitted in an interview. But instead, it became more psychological. It was like living in a constant state of confusion, and in a way, that was more damaging. Shari also pointed out how Jodi manipulated Ruby into adopting extreme behaviors that further alienated the family. From isolating the children from their friends to enforcing strict, bizarre rules, Jodi's influence created a dynamic that Shari linked to a cult. It wasn't just about control anymore, it was about breaking us down completely, Shari revealed. "And the worst part was watching my mom, who was already abusive, become this version of herself that I didn't even recognize anymore."
I certainly got weird vibes from Jodi and Ruby. I don't think it's normal at all that a therapist would move into her client's home. I was moving out to college and I hadn't even left the house yet, and she is in my room and in my bed.
What was that relationship between the two of them?
Ruby tried to be secretive about it, and so I don't know all the details, but just the vibes that I was getting was that something was strange between them.
Shari's decision to speak out came after Ruby's arrest, marking the culmination of years of silent suffering and unanswered pleas for help. For years, Shari had tried to sound the alarm, reaching out to Child Protective Services and local law enforcement multiple times. Each attempt was met with frustration as her claims were dismissed, leaving her feeling powerless and invisible in the face of systematic inaction. Her frustration reached a boiling point when she posted a now deleted Instagram story featuring an image of police outside the family home with the caption, "Finally." Though brief, the post sent shockwaves through social media, resonating deeply with viewers who had long suspected something sinister behind the family's polished online persona. For many, it was a chilling moment of validation. Proof that the picture-perfect vlogger life was far from what it seemed. In her memoir, Shari reflects on the whirlwind of emotions that followed: relief, knowing that justice was finally catching up, and pain because the person responsible for so much of her trauma was her own mother. It felt like years of secrets and fear were finally lifted, she wrote. But lifting that weight didn't erase the scars it left behind.
Is there anything that you would say to Ruby if you had the chance?
Probably tell her I'm happy without you. Like, I was scared of her for so long, and I am pure without her approval, and I am just fine.
Have you forgiven Ruby?
Forgiveness is something I've had to study a lot and kind of think about what it means. But for me, forgiveness would look like not letting that consume every moment of my life and all of my thoughts. I am just trying to move on with my life and trust that things are going to work out the way they're supposed to.
The arrest signaled the end of Ruby's dominion over her children. But for Shari, it also marked the beginning of a long and painful journey towards healing and self-discovery. When asked whether she believed Ruby's courtroom apology was sincere, Shari's response was thoughtful yet somber. "I think my mom believes she's sorry, but I don't think she fully understands the harm she's caused," Shari reflected. She spent so much time rationalizing her actions, twisting them into something righteous, that I am not sure she even knows what true accountability looks like.
I think that she's as sorry as she can be. What she has done is so bad that I don't think her mind allows her to kind of fully comprehend the guilt of all that. And so I think that she probably genuinely believed everything she said. I don't believe it though.
Her words capture the ongoing struggle to reconcile Ruby's self-perception with the lasting damage she inflicted, painting a haunting portrait of a mother-daughter relationship fractured by years of manipulation and abuse. Despite everything, Shari is determined to move forward with resilience and purpose. She recently announced her engagement, symbolizing a new chapter in her life that's free from the shadows of her traumatic upbringing. This engagement, as Shari describes, represents more than just love. It is a declaration of her independence and her commitment to building a healthier future for herself and her family. Beyond her personal milestones, Shari has become a vocal and passionate advocate for protecting children in the digital age, especially those exploited under the guise of family vlogging. She's taken her message to public forums, including the Utah legislative hearing, where she called on lawmakers to confront the systematic issues behind child monetization on social media. Family vlogging isn't just innocent family fun, Shari urges. It's a full-time business where kids are unpaid employees and their lives are treated as content. It robs children of their right to privacy and autonomy. Shari often reflects on her own experiences grappling with the digital permanence of her most vulnerable and private moments. Videos that captured her struggles and milestones remain online, a stark reminder of a childhood she had little control over. "I wish I could erase it all from the internet," she confesses. "No amount of money was worth losing my innocence and my right to growing up in privacy." These deeply personal reflections fuel her advocacy efforts as she pushes for stronger regulations to safeguard children's welfare in the influencer industry. She hopes that her story will inspire change and protect future generations from enduring the same exploitation. Shari's story is a wake-up call. It's not just about Ruby Franke or Jodi Hildebrandt. It's about the entire culture of family vlogging and the exploitation that often lies beneath the surface. As viewers, we have to ask ourselves, are we complicit by watching? And what can be done to protect children from this kind of exploitation? What do you think? Should family vlogging be banned? Can Shari's story lead to more accountability for influencers who exploit their kids? Let's discuss in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that matter.